Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to another class. We had a pause like 2 weeks one because I was traveling. I was out of the country, so I could not do any of the class. But let's continue today. So welcome to another class. Yeah, everything looks fine. Let's go here. So we're gonna keep solving our exercise. And today we will start with the question number 6. So let me do this. I will hide this AI chat here. Let's go to our practice and then question number 6. So what I'll do is I'll copy the description here and I will create a new file. That we call question 6.cs. Today's holiday here in the US and using system. You already know the drill, So public class. I'm naming the question. Oh, actually, let's do this. I will be a little bit late. I will not save this guy. You copy and paste. Because then it will be easier to just rename. Oh, wait. What is going on? I'm not thinking right. We already have the question 6 file. We just didn't do anything on it. So let's go back. My bad for this. So using system public class. Don't worry, we will learn all about those words. Question 6. How I'm naming them? Yeah, this. And then we have our entry point. That will be a public start. Come on, public start void. We are calling run. And in here, we'll do our thing. And then we have to change the real entry point that is programs. We'll comment this line. And we make sure that we call our new program. What is missing here? Oh, I forgot the namespace. I was using this namespace here just to keep it organized. Oh, here. Again, don't worry, we will learn about all the things later on. What you just need to know now is to create a new program. We're going to create a file. We have to edit it exactly like that to give a name and then a space. And then we come here, and then we change it to call that guy. Let's see what is still missing here. Question 6. Okay. And if we go and run, we start debugging, we will see that the IDE is going to do something, it's going to run that exactly program. Right now, nothing happened because we are not doing anything. So let's go to our practice and then copy again the number 6. And let's put it here. This is an interesting question for us now because it's going to give us an idea about something that we must learn later on, that is conditional comment. But right now we are just going to use our imagination to see how we can do this. So the question states, read an integer and print true if the number is even and false if it is odd. So we need to figure out, okay, how can I teach a computer how to figure out if a number is even and odd? And this is a good example that if we don't know how to solve the problem, there is no point to start trying coding. Unless you're going to rely on AI or someone to find a solution for you. But I'm assuming here that our goal is to learn how to do coding. Later on, we're gonna use AI to speed that up, and then I'm gonna show you how today I think is the best balancing between our like human word or work and then use AI. I'm not trying to like speed up too much thing here, but the idea is that let's first focus on this. Let's open our Excalibur. Oh, I change our PC, so I don't have that anymore, but I go here, Excalibur draw. And let's try to do some thing here. So let's do this first. You put the text. And let's try to figure out, before we think about coding, how can we teach someone? Let's imagine like a young kid. How can we explain how to figure out that one number is even or odd? So this is a good example that we have to focus on, understand the problem, look for ways to fix it or to solve it, and then we can translate to a language that a computer can follow. That is the most important part in coding, is translating the requirement to a sequence of steps that can solve it. So let's imagine like this. If you have some numbers, let's put some numbers here. 2, 7, 8, 3, 9, 11, and 5. How do you know if those numbers are even or odd? That is the first question. It's something silly because a lot of stuff that we'll be doing coding, we already know the solution. And it's even hard sometimes to explain someone how to solve it. And that is one of the challenges in coding, because we need to do that. We have to find a way to solve a problem that we already know the solution using the little set of resources that we're learning or are available in coding. That is the big challenge, because we are talking with a machine. We are telling a machine how to do something. And I'm teach you all the basic steps that we can do. So we could say, oh, 2 is odd. Why 2 is odd? Well, if we get something like this, we have 2 something, two apples, 2 bananas, 2 something. We can divide this in 2 parts perfectly. There is nothing left. If we get, for example, 5, someone could claim, oh, we can divide this in 2 parts that is perfectly. But that is the point. When we talk about even and odd, we are talking about integers, because if we go to like decimal, everything will be even, because in theory, we can divide everything in the middle and you believe that there is 2 equal parts. So that is the first thing. The number has to be integer. This idea of even odd is only for things that cannot be divided in small units. So in this case, I cannot cut something in the middle. So if I put here, I have 2 parts that are not even. One part has 1 extra unit. And if I go here, 2 parts that are not exactly equal. So maybe you can say, oh, this guy just complicate something that is very simple. But that is the key thing. How can I teach a computer how to, for sure, tell that a number is even odd? So we have to think about what we learned so far. Basic operation. Did we learn any operation that could help us identify this case? That if we get a number, we cannot divide them entirely. So let's try something like this. I will try to just type. So if you get the number 5, we already realize, oh, we want to divide this in 2 parts. And we want to make sure that both parts are equal. So how we do this division? How much we can separate 5 things and group of 2? Well, if I put 3 here, I have 6. So we start with like 2. And then we have 4. And our rest, or our remainder, is 1. So if we think in a different way, every time we have a remainder, or every time the remainder is not 0, that means the number is odd, because we could not evenly divide the number. If we get the number 8, we'll try 8 divide by 2. This will be 4, and then we have 8, and then our remainder is 0. So that means we could divide this number in 2 parts, and each part is equal. The beauty about this exercise is to show you how we have to find a solution with just the available tools, what we learned so far. And this will be the challenge for coding all the time. This is what we are doing here. How can I get a problem that I should know how to solve, and I can translate into steps using the language tools, the language resource. So this we can compare like someone that is like a car maintainer, and he has the all garage with all the tools, but now he has to use a limited set of tools that will require him to think way more. There is no computer in the world that really knows. Well, let me tell you, no is a very strong no computer in the world, but usually computers don't know anything. We have to teach them. So for a computer to decide if a number is even or odd, we're gonna use this operation and check the remainder. So if the remainder is 0, remainder by 2 is 0, that means the number is even. If the remainder is different, could be, for example, if we get the number, let's get a big number here, 19. We divide by 2, so this will be 9, that will give like 18, and then we have what? So if we pay attention, the remainder will be always 1 or 0. There is no other option when we divide by 2, because if it was something bigger than 2 or equal, we will divide again. So it's something that sometimes we get lost with those little things. It's not like mathematical thing, but we have to pay attention to details of the problem. So basically what we need to do is our program will have an input, and this input we already know that will be an integer number. And our output will be either true or false. And we have to write a expression that will guarantee that this is going to happen. In our expression will be something like, it's based on what we learned. The number mod 2 if equals to 0. This expression will be true if the number is even. Or we could say equals or different than 1. That is another thing. It's very common to have multiple ways to express the same solution. And sometimes, depending on preference or how our brains operate, people will tend to go one way or the other, prefer one and the other. So, and the challenge for someone teaching is that it's very hard to make sure that everyone gets that right away. So is that why we have to do practice, we have to exercise. If we start to just use AI to find solution for you, you will lose this ability to really be able to get a problem and translate to a solution into a problem. That is something that I'm gonna try to be very careful here. So now that we have a good idea, let's go back to the coding and see how can we do this. So we already realized that we need to have a number. And we learned already that to read from the keyboard, we're going to use console.readline. And this is going to return a string. So we have to do a int.parse to convert this to an integer. And it's nice to do some UI and write something like this. Type a number or just number. So when we run our program, the user know what to figure out. Someone asked me, oh, Jose, how can we fix this thing here? We don't have all the tools to really understand this right now. Later on, we'll learn better ways to do this. But right now, just to explain, if we put the cursor here, we can read possible new reference argument for parameter s. So this is because this function or this functionality is expecting something like a string. This cannot be null. Null is something that is like, we don't know it. We're gonna learn about that later on. If this is bother you, just put like a exclamation mark. This is going to tell our language like that, okay, please assume that this guy is always going to return something. Let's see if this is going to work. So right now, I'm just going to do console.writeLine and then number. I put a breakpoint so we can see what is going on here. And well, actually, yeah, let's put a breakpoint here. I save and then I run it. So let's type our number 10. Now we can go here to locals and you can realize, oh, we have a variable called number that is an integer and the value there is 10. What happens if I run and then I just type enter without providing things? This is something that we'll learn later on how to deal with those situations, exceptions. So if I just read enter, look what happened. Our program just failed because this function trusted what we said. Oh, this expression will never return a null, but it returned. And then our program will like crash. Is that why it's very common to any program to have those bugs? Because someone forgot to deal with one corner case. Oh, what happened if it's not a number, if there is no value, if there is letters? I guess I explained this before, but just to show, if we run again, and then we put something like this cannot be parsed as an integer. So when we do this, it's going to fail again. Just say that this was not in a correct format. This could not be parsed to an integer. Cool. This is something that we're going to be learning. Now what we need to do is, our questions say print true if the number is even and false if it's odd. So let's keep the number there so we can see it. But our expression should be if number mod 2 is equal to 0. This is the part that we need to understand. This is a logical expression because we have an arithmetical expression here, and then we have a comparison. And then we learned in the previous class, every time we have a comparison operator, equal, smaller, greater, that will be converted to true or false. So if we save and then we run our program now, let's put a breakpoint here instead. Oh, sorry, here. And hit it 5. Let's type the number 2. So we're gonna get 2. If we evaluate this expression, I select this expression like this. I right click and I add to watch. So I can see it here. So look what happened. It's going to show 2. If we run our program again, and then put like 15, now our expression is showing 7 because 15, the remainder of 15 by 2 is like, let's add this to the watch as well. How much is the remainder of this? And watch is 1. Is that why I told you that we're not going to learn a lot of things, but every little thing is important because we need it to solve our more complex problem. This list of questions is here for a reason. It's to make sure that we have the opportunity to assimilate and to remind all those little tools, all those little comments that we learn. So now you already have in your mind, how we can figure out if a number is even or odd, that we need some time to do in coding. There is so many problems out there that we need to know, oh, is even or odd. So we should do the other way, or the different way. Just to show something else, if we do this, if the number mod 2 is different than 1. Remember I told you that there is multiple ways to achieve the same thing? So this is another challenge in code. If we give the same task to 100 different software engineers, each one will come with a different recipe. It's different from other areas that sometimes is more formal, that we can make sure that, okay, we always follow the same thing. But here, no, it's like even math. Now, when we are like solving a problem, people will find different ways to solve it. So for every logical expression, there is another one using the reverse test that means the same. So here are tests. If the remainder of 2, the number by 2 is equal to 0, the number is even. Or if the remainder the number by 2 is different of 1, that means it's 0, because it can only be 0 or 1. Okay, so that is sometimes hard to pick up those little details when we're learning by books, because we read a solution and we think, oh, I always have to solve this way. And then a colleague or someone else solving a different way, and you guys, well, why the person did this? The reason I prefer this is because we are checking exactly what's asked. If the number is even, will be true, and false if not. So let's run this guy and see what happened in this case. So let's just do this. I'll get this expression. Oh, let me put this here first. Oh, let's type the number 7. And let's get this expression. And let's add it to the, it's already there. Let's add this expression to the watch. See, it's false as well. So those two expressions are equivalent. If I let it go, I'll see false and false. So if I am a teacher and I review those exercises, I have to make sure that both are considered correct. Another thing that I want you to feel the pain now is, because we're going to learn how to make this better, we cannot just test our program with just a few values or a couple values, say, oh, it's working fine. I should do something like this. I remove the breakpoint, I run it, and then I test with, let's see 5, false. Let's run again. Let's see 22, up there, here. Let's try 22, 2. Let's run again and try 51. You have to have this already in your brain. Every piece of code that we build, we need to make sure that there is a automatic way to test it. We'll learn this something later on in a topic called unit testing. And if you're doing an interview and you don't validate your solution with at least a few values, you're going to be in trouble because you're going to show, oh, I don't really care if my solution works in many different cases. So I'm planting another seed that will be important for us to learn on. I want you to feel the pain that every time we touch our code, we need to test again. And if I have to test that manually, I'm going to be wasting time. Cool? So this is the goal of this little exercise, is to show this. Well, we have to remember not a lot, but everything that is available to be able to solve our problems. Cool? Okay, so you save this one. And let's move to the next. So I will close this guy. And the next one, the question number 7. This one is just like very similar, but just to really make sure that you understand this idea, because we're going to do this later on. Question number 7. Read two integer numbers, a and b, and print true if a is divisible to b and false otherwise. It's almost the same question. It's the same problem. And this is very common. Sometimes we are in an area that is very rare to see something really new. I had jobs that I quit because it was boring. I was doing the same over and over and over, just change a little bit. So I was not learning, I was not growing. When I was young, that always bothered me. And I said, well, I need to move on. I need to find something that is a new challenge. Now that I'm getting older, I still love the new challenge, but not pushing too much, because now the challenge can exponentially be way more complicated. So it's very important in our career to pick up how much challenge you want. I learned some hard lesson. I'm going to share with you later on. So actually, let's go here first. I copy this, copy, and then paste. I rename this guy to question number 7. And what I'm doing here sometimes happen in real life. You're going to work in a project that there is something very similar. You just need, okay, I create a new one and deal with something new. So let's delete all this. I'm going to copy this, put it here. And some jobs, some tasks is exactly like this. When you're a junior engineer, you need to do something similar to this, where I have just changed this. So I even keep the same thing here. We are reading the number, but the question is number A and B. So let's call number A here. And then here, let's call number A. We do that twice. So now it will be number B and number B. A good idea is to pick up names that is related to what the question say. So if here was number X and Y, I will call X and Y. If it was like number 1 and number 2, I will call the number 1, number 2. Cool? And now what happened? We need to realize if number A and B, if number A is divisible by number B. What means that a number is divisible by another one? There is even a nice quote from a movie, I guess it was Brilliant Mind, if I'm not mistaken, that a little kid was in a math class for like grade 4 or 5, and the teacher asked, he put like a number, which number are divisible by this one? And the kid said, every number is divided by every number. And that is true if we go to the decimal. But we have to adapt to the context here. We are talking about integer numbers. So, will be almost the same idea. However, instead of 2, always, this could be any number. So let's clean this up. Let me go here and do, what is it? Clean up the, come on, let's set the colors. So now what we have is two numbers. Let's do like this, I freehand. So the numbers could be 10 and 3. How do we figure out if 10 is divisible by 3? This only makes sense if we're talking about integer. Because if it's a decimal, we believe there is always a way to divide, and there is some extra thing that can come here, like 3.33333, infinite 3. So how we try this? Well, I have 10 orange, and I want to divide in 3 groups. I want to divide 10 oranges with, or 10 bananas, 10 something, with 3 people. I already explained that in some previous class. We're gonna say, okay, I need 3 of 3 to make, oh, sorry, there is an Amber Alert here. Whoa. Let me show you, not sure if it's interesting, but there is an Amber Alert. Oh, sorry, never mind. Someone is missing and is dangerous, so I hope. And then we have 9, so 1 will be the remainder. It will be the mod. So that means 10 is not integer divisible by 3. Oi? É alguém desaparecido.
Uma criança, é?
Não, uma pessoa adulta. So let's go here now. If we have like 15 and 4. So we think, well, if I have 4 4s, I go to 16. So it will be 3. And with 3 4s, I have 12. And then the remainder is 3. So that means every time the remainder of A by B is not 0, that means they are not divisible. Let's get another example. 17 and 10. So we need 1 10, and then there is 7 left. Another thing that I showed before, what if we have something like this? 3 and then 7. So that means we need 0 7 to make a 3, and our remainder is 3. Okay? So now that we have this in mind, we can write out expression. Please don't think code is all about math, but math is more present in our daily thing, price, discount, tax, than we would like or we think about. So we will be learning all basic math, but there is nothing complicated for the most of the time. 99% of the math that we use in software engineering for overall CIS is very simple. Unless we go to some advanced field, we're gonna be good. So now what I need to do? Well, I write expression. What the expression will be? Number A mod number B equals to 0. Did I fix this? I don't think so. So let's go to our program. Let's copy this. I will comment out this guy, and then I will add question 7. I will save. Let's put a breakpoint here. And what we can do already is, okay, let's do this. Add this to watch. Oh, I guess add watch is only when we're running debugging. Number A, 7. Number B, 4. So you are here, 7, 4. let's add this expression. Add what? Let's remove the other ones, so don't mess with our. And let's add this expression here as well. So that means the remainder of like 7 by 4 is 3. So that is different of 0, so this is false. And again, I want you to feel how boring it is to be testing a program, because we want to automate this. And you're gonna love unit testing. Because I cannot, if I'm in an interview, I cannot just write this and say, oh, this is good. I have to prove that my solution works. So it's nice to ask some example for the interviewer and then run, after you finish your program, run your code with those values. Okay, so now there is one question here. How could we make this the inverse one? Because now it's harder, because before I knew that was 0 and 1. And in this case, our reminder could be anything. Any integer number could be the reminder here. So if we try to do something like this, what if I say this number is different of 0? Do you remember that we learned not as a expression? So what I could say is this. I will check if this is different of 0, and then I will negate it. So if it's false, become true. If it's true, become false. I'm not going to, let's remove this. Later on, we're gonna talk about this. I don't want to mess with your mind right now, but basically what I'm doing is read two numbers and write the expression, checking if the reminder, number 1 by number 2, is 0. Just it. And this way, we can make sure that every time, let me remove the breakpoint. Every time you run this program, let's try a few different examples. 21 and 3 is true, because if we multiply 3 by 7, it's 21. If you run again, 10 by 4 is false, because we cannot divide 10 by 4 groups equally. We have 2 that's going to left. Cool? So the idea of solving this problem may be boring for most of people that pick up things very fast, but I know that a lot of people have hard time to collectively get all those details. Is that why, as I was a professor for over a decade, I know that we have to focus not in the people that can pick up very fast, because those maybe they are not even working class. This is more for normal people like us. Okay, so that was the question number 7, and now let's go to question number 8. The question number 8 is interesting as well, so let's prepare the file. I will copy it, paste, rename. This is very common when we're going to do our real work, that we're going to reuse something that already exists. And then I change that here as well. I will delete all this, and I will come with the question number 8. Boom. So what happened here? Oh, and I have to come here and change this. So let's comment the one before and ask to run this. The question asks us to read the temperature in Celsius and convert to Fahrenheit. And here there is the formula. This formula I could just not put in there. And you can say, well, if this is an interview, you should ask, oh, do you know, I don't remember how it's common. You don't need to be like an encyclopedia to remember everything. To do coding, you need to figure out how to find the solution. Sometimes the solution is check a book, Google, and now everyone is using AI to find it out. So the formula was given for us. So when the temperature is given in Celsius, we multiply by 1.8 and then we add it to 32. And then we have the same temperature in Celsius. If you are in doubt, we can go here to Google and just say how to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. And what is the formula? See the formula there? Multiply by 8 or multiply by 9 divided by 5 and then add 32. And then if need, you learn deeply about that. But most of the time we don't need. We just need to know there is a formula. Let's write that formula in the language that we are using. So you already know the drill for this part. We just say console.write and then something like temperature in Celsius. Now there is one thing that we need to figure out. What should be the type? Temperature. Should be an integer? Probably not. Probably in this case, when we say a temperature, there will be a decimal. Because usually temperature goes by 11.5, 11.3. So there is some thing in between. Unless you are told, oh, read the temperature integer. Maybe they just want to think the decimal is too detailed, don't care about it. In this case, let's just use decimal. And we can call Celsius, will be clear enough. Oh, sorry, Celsius. Equals to console.readline. And this, we're going to say decimal.parse. Now that we have that temperature in Celsius, we need to calculate in Fahrenheit. Will be Celsius multiplied by 1.8. We have to remember here to be decimal. We have to put something here to remember. I guess was, I forgot now, was an M. And then add 32. In this case, we don't need to put parentheses here. We don't have to because the multiplication has a higher priority. If you want to make like was shown before in the formula, you can do it, but sometimes less is better. Less is more. And now what we can do is console.writeline, and maybe to make something like a little bit better, I can say Celsius, the variable, is Fahrenheit. I want to use this guy here. In Fahrenheit. So what I'm doing here is a string interpolation where I'm going to print the content of this variable. 2340 is the content of this, or I can say in Celsius. is this in Fahrenheit. Let's save. And please, one thing that we have to learn very early, never trust your code or anyone else's code, AI or a colleague. You need to make sure that it works. You need to test. As we don't know a better way now, let's test manually. So what you need to do? Well, we have to go here. You can have some baseline, something that you trust is going to do the conversion correctly. So where is it? Where is my browser? And as we know, Google can do those things very well. So convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. This is a very important skill to know, how I test our problem. So I will keep this guy. Let's see if we can make this very small here. And I will move this window, or not this one. This one to keep here, this window. Oh wait, what is going on here? Let's keep this because I attached this window if, okay, now I detach it, so now it's good. Come on, not this one, this one. So now we can see, oh, come on. Let me close this guy now. We can see both. And now let's run a few times. Let's run and let's test. Okay. I already see that there is something here that is not cool. Let's stop and then let's put a 2 dots and 1 space here. Now when we run, let's get a temperature like a nice temperature, 24. So 24 is 75 in Fahrenheit. So let's try our solution. 24 is 75.2. Let's try a different one. Very hot, 38. 38 is 100. So let's run again. And then let's put 38. 100.4. Remember that depending on the temperature, for example, if we do 38.3 or 38.3, depending on the time, the type and the precision, we can have some difference here, how many decimals we are using. Let's try this one here. I run again and say 38.3. In this case are matched, but sometime we're gonna have some discrepancy. So it's something that we should ask, how many decimals you want for this? And we already learned that we can do something like this to tell how many decimals. Because if I put like something like this, and then let's run it again. And let's put something like 38.23. See, we are, if I come here and say 38.23, Google decided to only show like 3 decimals because this was 0, so he removed it. So it's very important, or if you're in an interview or even do your work, say, okay, how do you want to see this number? How many decimals do you want to represent 0 if it? So for real, we usually have to care about all those little details. Oh, did you try some negative numbers? Not yet, but what if, for example, is minus 10 in decimal? Oh, in Fahrenheit is 14. So minus 10 is 14. Do you see Google here is showing only 14, no 0, but here in our case, we're told, oh, we want to see 4 decimals. Let's put 2 decimals because 4 is, I guess it's too much, or maybe just 1, depending. Cool. So this is a very common thing in coding. We already know a formula and we have to apply that formula. This, I guess, is very common. So wherever you're going to work on, in accounting company, you need to learn about account expression. You're going to work in a real estate, in an online store, you have to learn how to calculate tax, all that. Most of the time, the solution of the problem is not a responsibility of the engineer. Someone on the business side, someone that know how the business is made, has to come to us. Then there is another part of engineering, for example, how you scale that solution for millions of transactions. Then there is a lot of things that business has no idea, is all about on us. So there is multiple layers of complexity when we talk about application, system, that some are totally in the scope of the business. That is not our responsibility. We need to talk with business people. They are the ones that have the authority to tell us what to do. If we're working in an accounting solution, in a tax solution, we are not the specialist. We have to be humble to ask, okay, how do I do in this situation? How I solve it? But then how we deliver, how we make it run and adapt for some technology, a device, then is up to us. It's not in the scope of the business. Cool. We will learn all those little things by time, but this is basically our idea. We have the input, the processing, and the output. This output in this case is not clear how we're gonna show. So it's up to us to show this. Minus 10 is 6, is 14. We could just say this. The question just has to convert. So I could just do a regular thing and just print the value in Fahrenheit. Let's keep the other one. I think was kind of cool. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Question number 9. The question number 9 is more like close to something that we see in real life. I copy this guy, copy, and then paste. And you know the drill. I'm not going to be repeating all the time. So number 9. So we can remove this for now. And let's go here. So the question number 9 is something that happens in every online store. Every company has something similar to this. Of course, way more complex. There is some other variables in there. So read the buying price, that sometimes is called cost. That is something as well that every company has different name for the same thing or multiple names for the same thing. And then we need to figure out when you're talking something, take a while, because sometimes you go to a meeting, someone say cost and say, well, cost really means. And then that is something that initially is overwhelming, because when you're going to work in a new business, a new company, take a while until you learn all the jargons, all the acronyms. We are reading the buying price, cost, and the desired profit percentage, and calculate the sales price of the product. So this is the basic thing for the market to work. Someone buys something, would like to make some profit based on percentage, and then has to sell with the amount that is going to pay for the cost, pay for the renting, pay for energy, for payroll, and then they gonna make some money. Fun thing is, sometimes this profit percent can be negative. We're gonna be selling something cheaper because we have hard time solving, selling. Maybe we are waste too much money with storage. So okay, this didn't work. Let's just put out. Or like for example, Costco sell the hot dog for the same price for forever. Maybe because they know, oh, I don't make too much money in the hot dog, but people come to my store and buy other stuff. So sometimes it's policy. So remember when I told you that there is a lot of knowledge that is out of the scope of software engineer. It's business side. And then with time, we're going to learn about it. So the important thing here is, let me open Scarlet Draw again. And let's figure out this one, how we solve it. So let's clean this. And this is the part that we should love. Is you should feel like, whoa, I can get a problem that someone have, and they can make that solution automatic. I can automate it. So let's type it here. Let's move here. I create two lines, is that? Okay, let's do a better thing here. I didn't like that way. I put this here. And put. So our program in this case, what's gonna have? One input that has two variables. Let's call cost because it's smaller, it's shorter, and profit percentage. And then let's try to understand this. What we need to do, we have to output the sales price. How do we do that? So, like I said, the math you're going to be used most of the time is very simple. There's something that you learn in school, early age. So, how to calculate percentage? Let's use some very simple values here. If I buy something for $100, and then I want to have a 10% profit, how much should I sell it? Well, if it's 10%, 10% is 10 for every 100. In this case, I have to sell for 110. Because 100 is my cost, 10% of 100 will be 10, that is my profit. And then I have to sell to 110. Cool? Let's put some different value. What if I buy it for 150? And I want 20%. So this is something that's similar to Fahrenheit to Celsius. We don't need to really know how to figure out those things. This is simple. We will easily find expression. We could do, like, I learned different ways to do this, but you say, okay, I want 20 for every 100, but I have like 150. So basically, it would be like, would be 20 for the first 100, and then we need 20% of 50, that will be 10. But what you can do here is like, well, what we do here, let's show you how I learned it. So if 100 is 100%, X will be 20%. And then we do the multiplication this way. I'm not sure how you learn it, but basically what we have to do is, okay, X, our percentage amount, will be the amount multiply by the desired percentage, and then divide by 100. Don't feel bad if you don't know how to do this. I'm not a math teacher, so I don't have the right tools to explain this in a nice way. But if you cannot figure out how to solve something, just ask for help. Ask someone in the business, you can say, okay, I have those two amounts. What math should I do to find this? Because this one is simple, that most people are going to figure out, but sometimes it's more complex, like tax. There is a lot of things that we have to consider to calculate tax, and it's not up for the engineer to figure out. Well, we're going to figure out because we're going to ask, we're going to look for help, we're going to check documents. So that is a part of coding that is outside of, I say, computer science itself. It's outside of software engineer. How are we going to figure out the solution for the problem? There is some abstraction layer that we need to, okay, who should I ask about this? And don't feel bad. No one knows how to solve and should not know how to solve everything problem. But we need to be able to ask around, look for, and once someone explain us, you're going to say, okay, you get the cost, multiply by the percentage that we desire, and divide by 100. Just that. So then we already know how to do this calculation. Now that we have this, we can come to our formula. So what will be our formula? Oh, let's go back here. Profit will be equals to cost divided by profit percentage. Oh, divide, no, multiply. And divide by 100. This is our profit. And I'm going to show you something. I don't do a mistake, so you can just figure out how dangerous coding sometimes is. So let's go back to our code and let's prepare to read those. So let's go, here will be like decimal, cost. We're going to read for the keyword, and it will be a decimal that you need to do a parse. And then it will be console dot read line. And we know that before it's nice to do something like little UI, console.write. And then I'm gonna do something like this, buying price, cost. Now I'm gonna read the other variable. I do a copy and paste, and then here be our desired profit percentage. Percentage. And now we can do our calculation. We go here, we can copy this if you like. And I can create a variable that will be a decimal as well. Profit equals to cost multiply by profit percentage divide by 100. However, we cannot output just the profit because we want the sales price. So we have to go here, put decimal, sales price will be the cost, how much we bought, plus the profit. And now we can print everything. Let's do some interpolation here. You can say cost equals to variable cost. Put a point, something here. No one asks us to print the profit, but sometimes we can give an idea. Oh, in this case, should we print the profit as well? Extra information that will help us to figure out. So we can say profit equals to variable profit, and then sales price sales price. And I forgot the right line. So what we're doing here is we are calculate the profit and then the sales price. That will be the, we already did it, so no, we don't need to explain this. And now what you need to do, okay, let's run. Did I fix this guy? Question, oh, sorry, problem. Question 9, no. Save and then run. Let's do first that what we call happy path, something that we know the result will be 100, and then our percentage is 10. So the cost is 100, profit is 10, and the sales price is 110. So if I bought something for 100 and I want to have 10% of profit, I have to sell it to 110. So something that I have to fix already here, buying price. Oh, sorry. Buying price to be more beautiful. And then here I can put like the string percentage. So I can make sure that the, oh, sorry. This is not percent. So we can say cost. I forgot to add something interesting here. That is profit percentage. And then I put the percentage here. And then the amount of the profit, so it is how much this percentage for this amount. And then we can see now. So let's run. And the other example that you saw, that was 150 and then 30%. So in our case, we bought for 150 and we, oh, I put 40%, 45, it should be 30. Oh no, there is something wrong here. I mess with the variable, so this is profit percentage. Do you see how important it is to do all the testing? I will not figure out this if I didn't test it. That is why we have some bugs. I use the same variable for a different value. So it was 150 and then 50% was 30. I guess it was 50. Oh, we can just go here. Was 20. Oh, no. No. So if I buy something for 150 and I want to have 20% of profit, my profit will be 30 and the sales price will be 180 because it will be the 150 we bought plus 30. We can test with something like, oh, I bought for 19.99. And then I want to have 5.5%. So look this, that will be my profit, and then that will be my sale price. And then there is something that we need to figure out later on. Oh, does it make sense for us to do this rounding before do the calculation? Sometimes it does. So this is something that is not as engineers, software engineers that will determine it. Business people may tell us, oh, do you know, when we read the percentage, you're going to calculate the profit, we need to have like only 2 decimals before we do this account. There is a lot of problems that happen because of misinformation here. I already had to fix some very nasty problem in production, waking up like in the middle of the night because those decimals was not matching what should be. So this is something that we're going to see later on, but just to explain how much trouble we can have. So in this case here, that is why we learned those things. Let me go back here to, oh, actually, no, we still going to learn about those. Sorry, but it's just to tell you that when we do any calculation, it's very important to know how many decimal we have to use, because maybe when another company or another team or another service is going to calculate that, depending on the type and the precision, we can have difference here. So in this case, what we could do, oh, the profit, we can say, oh, I just want this with 2 decimals or 4 decimals or whatever. And here the same. Because as we know, if someone is using this to make like a total sales revenue, if they use 5 decimals and another system use only 2, of course the final will have some difference. So this is important. It is something that the business has to tell us. This is the kind of problem that happen a lot when we have different systems doing calculation using different types and precision. Oh, sorry, another. Oh, now was a child abduction. Ooh. Oh, but it's in LA, so it's very far from here. I'm in San Diego. So I hope you get it. This is something that is real. And I'm explaining as well that we need to make sure that everywhere that need those amounts use the same. One good practice is that no one should limit the decimals. Only at the end, they should apply whatever decimals expected. Because, for example, in this case, if we are making total revenue, total sales, and we only use like 2 decimals, of course, the total amount will be different if you use 5, 10, or whatever. Cool? Yeah, that was the goal for the today class. I hope I didn't confuse you. So, but it's very basic. So I really hope you get it. Thank you very much. God bless you. See you next class. Oh, let's see if it's going well.